A group of researchers are taking ice core samples in icy Cape, Alaska. We see a dog as it walks past a dead body whimpering to itself. There's an agitated man holding a gun, sweaty and covered in blood. He walks over to a radio exhausted. The man starts saying we are not who we are, over and over. He says it goes no further than this. It stops right here, right now. Suddenly another man attacks him from behind. The two men fight and struggle, flying through a pane of glass. They both have guns trained on one another. The men lower their guns and instead place them against their own heads. We see the facility and hear gunshots from within. An old VHS tape of the research team plays. Captain Richter was one of the men who took their own life. The team beat their previous record for drilling into the ice and celebrate. We meet FBI agent Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. The research team was testing ice core samples to see how climates changed, going all the way back to the dawn of man. Mulder plays the transmission Richter made before pulling the trigger, and Scully looks deeply disturbed. The agents were chosen to find out what happened to these men. They only have 3 days to get in and out, as a large storm will cut them off if they don't. Dr. Denny Murphy is enjoying some old recorded football game when the agents catch him celebrating. He's a professor of geology out of San Diego. Dr. Nancy De Silva and Dr. Hodge arrive, and Hodge asks for ID, saying he wants to make sure everyone is who they are. They all ask each other what's going on and why they're there, but no one has an answer. A man named Bear pulls up. He's the pilot that will be flying them up to the facility. Hodge asks for ID, and Bear pretty much looks at him like he's stupid. They arrive at the facility, breaking in through the front door. Immediately, they are greeted by bodies on the ground. They search the facility, Scully taking photos to document. They find a freezer holding the core samples. Denny takes one as he wants to get a sample from it. Mulder and Nancy enter a dark room. Suddenly, the dog from earlier attacks, jumping on Mulder's back. Bear runs in, grabbing the dog off Mulder. It turns and bites his arm. The group holds the dog down and Hodge sedates it with his sedative. Mulder is fine, but Bear is bleeding from the arm. They're examining the dog and find these black nodules under its legs. Nancy says they're symptoms of the plague. Scully examines an irritation on its back and we see something crawling under the skin. Bear is in the bathroom and notices he has the same markings under his arm. Scully notes that from the autopsies, the men killed one another. Bear asks if the black nodules could be the reason why the men killed one another. Hodge says it's pretty unlikely as the nodules on the dog have since gone away. Bear is starting to panic but doesn't tell anyone about his symptoms. Mulder brings Denny a topography reading of the drill site, and Denny points out that they could have been drilling into a meteor crater. Denny tells him he found something. Mulder looks into the microscope, finding some weird unknown parasite. Scully says the same thing was found in Richter's blood. Hodge recommends taking the bodies back for more testing, but Mulder says they can't, not without proper quarantine measures. Bear, however, isn't waiting around for any of that and goes to leave. Hodge says there's no reason they can't leave as no one has been infected. Nancy points out Bear did get bit by the dog, and Bear immediately calls out Mulder for being attacked as well. They all need to be tested, but Bear isn't having it and freaks out. If he leaves, he could infect the entire population. They wrestle with Bear, trying to restrain him as he doesn't want to be tested. He starts convulsing, and we see the parasite under his skin. Hodge slices through the man's neck with his scalpel, removing the parasitic worm. Mulder rushes over to the radio asking for help, but is told no one can get in as the storm came in early. Mulder asks if Bear is in any condition to fly, and is told by Scully that he's dead. We see the worm and find out it feeds off the hypothalamus, causing the violent outbursts in its host. Scully is checking the bodies and tells Mulder she doesn't want to sleep until she finds a way to kill it. Mulder believes it to be of alien origin and doesn't want to kill it. The two argue and the others think the agents knew about this entire thing the whole time. The paranoia is starting to sink in. They start implying that each other could be infected. Hodge says they need to check each other to make sure that no one is. The men start to take their clothes off, and Mulder says, "Before anyone passes any judgment, may I remind you, we are in the Arctic." Everyone heads to sleep as no one was found with the nodules, but the spots on the dog did go away. Scully barricades the door as the fear creeps in. Mulder wakes up and hears a door close. He finds Denny has left his room and his radio behind. Blood is dripping from the freezer. Mulder opens the door and Denny's murdered body falls out on top of Mulder. The others arrive and think Mulder committed the murder. Everyone starts infighting and Scully tells Mulder, "You may not be who you are." Mulder is locked in a storage room and tells Scully in here he'll be far safer than her. The others fight over Mulder, but Scully won't give up on helping him if he is indeed infected. Nancy and Hodge are working and he gets upset when she accidentally places infected blood on another sample of infected blood. Scully checks the microscope and notices the two parasites fight and kill one another. She places two worms next to one another and they become aggressive. The only way to kill it is to introduce another into an already infected body. They place one into the ear of the already infected dog. It appears to have worked as the dog is no longer aggressive and the dead worms passed in its stool. They plan on doing the same thing with Mulder, but Scully needs to be absolutely sure. She tells Mulder they found a way to kill it, but he says if he's given one worm, he'll become infected. Scully checks his neck and doesn't find anything. Mulder grabs her and does the same. The agents come out and tell the others neither of them are affected, and it's one of them. Hodge wants to check himself and tells the agents to lead the way. Hodge grabs Mulder and Nancy throws Scully in the storage room, locking her up. Nancy has the worm, about to place it in Mulder's ear. That's when Hodge sees the parasite in her neck. He throws her off and she runs. They tackle her to the ground and Hodge places the worm in her ear. She's being taken on an ambulance in some kind of biohazard suit. She'll be in quarantine along with the dog until they know for sure everything is okay. The others test a negative and are free to go. Mulder wants to go back to the site so he can study it, but the military torched the place, destroying any evidence of the creature's existence. Mulder was so close to proving life exists outside of what we know, and the episode comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like more, please subscribe and like the video, as that helps out greatly. Thank you for watching and Happy New Year.